Being a vegan is not an economic and healthy option for everyone in the world. There are several vegans on YouTube who successfully convert omnivores to veganism through the use of facts, logic, relating their argument to their own life experiences, and even humor. They realized that they wanted to change minds on a video sharing platform, so they did their research and noticed patterns in the creators with the largest subscriber count on the platform. Breaking facts down in a way that does not come off condescending and making your audience laugh will generally cause people to keep coming back for more. That is not to say that these are the only methods of changing minds that are tried and true. Socking someone in the face with the truth can change a mind faster, as long as they wanted to learn that way. I want to take a moment to mention the fact that I have had to live through several different diets in my lifetime due to health issues that I have always struggled with and will always struggle with. I have had no red meat diets, poultry-only diets, fish-only diets, vegetarian diets. I have tried several because unfortunately my health concerns have caused me to be sensitive or allergic to several different foods in the world, and I also struggle to gain weight. When I lose too much weight, I end up in the hospital hooked up to a wall. And that's generally something I'd like to avoid. The vegan diet happens to be the one that is easiest for myself in my journey with chronic health problems, but that is not to say that veganism is without its challenges. Several vegans have tried to downplay the struggles of becoming vegan by stating that it is a cheap diet, an easy diet, or downright insulting the person who is actively trying to make a change and having a genuinely hard time. So I'm going to debunk some of the arguments that vegans make and use real facts and kind civil education to let you make up your own mind. To begin, I want to mention some of the reasons why veganism is honestly a good idea. If you are someone who adores animals, it can be a very rewarding feeling to know that each time you eat a meal, that meal did not have to suffer a cruel fate and die. As someone who grew up on a rescue farm, I can definitely say your conscience is clear when you go out to hug the cow you saved from a life of torture and you don't have a massive burger in your hand or a leather jacket that they want to lick. Yeah, cows have a weird oral fixation. I know that a lot of vegans also like to say that eating meat is selfish, but so is veganism. I mean, be honest with yourself. If you're a vegan, have you honestly not gone a single second of your life without patting yourself on the back for what you're doing? Part of the reason vegans are vegan is because it feels good to know that you are not contributing to something harmful, and making yourself feel good is an inherently selfish act. That does not automatically make it a bad thing. In fact, it's actually very beneficial to be a little selfish each day. But the reason I bring this point up is because some of us really need to get off our high horse and realize we are just as selfish as anyone else from any other diet. Any conscious choice that makes us feel good is selfish. Got it? Got it. Another reason a vegan lifestyle can be a good thing is because factory farming is just terrible. According to One Green Planet, our current global food system is responsible for 1/3 of global greenhouse emissions, and it completely depends on fossil fuels and transportation of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. Yuck. Factory farming is harmful for the animals and the environment in equal measure. Factory farming forcefully impregnates animals and slaughters them at a rate that we could never possibly consume. So these animals die for nothing and we end up throwing them out where their carcasses just rot away. As if that was not bad enough, the pollution that factory farming creates is literally destroying our planet. With the amount of land that the United States currently owns, there's no reason why there could not be a bunch of normal-sized farms of around 200 to 400 acres in each town that could feed the people in it. My family only had a tiny garden of maybe 10 yards across that was able to feed our entire family of 5 for an entire year. Our problem when it comes to factory farming is not omnivores. It's capitalism. However, if millions of people began to adopt a vegan diet, it would definitely cut down on a lot of factory farming. It would not dismantle it completely, since vegetable mass production is also extremely harmful, but it would put a decent dent into something that is hurting everyone and everything on the planet. A more personal reason to go vegan, which brings us back to selfish reasons, is your health. According to Dr. Who of Harvard Medical School, processed meat products contain high amounts of additives and chemicals which may contribute to health risks. There is not a specific amount that is considered safe, so you should keep processed meat intake to a minimum. He also mentioned that high intake of red and processed meats lead to higher risk for heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and premature death. The key words here are high intake. People who overindulge in red meat have a much higher risk of serious health issues. However, it is also rich in vitamin B12, which is extremely important for the production of red blood cells. Now, there are plenty of vitamins on the market for vegans that will ensure your vitamin levels are where they should be, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. The benefits and risks of eating red meat are about even as long as you don't overdo it. Most of the other health issues linked to the consumption of non-vegan foods, such as dairy and meat, comes down to things like growth hormones, illnesses from eating undercooked meat, and the possibility of eating diseased meat or meat that has a virus attached to it that harms harms humans. Vegans do not generally have to worry about harm befalling them if they eat an undercooked carrot, so we're all good there. However, we can get sick from an overuse of pesticides, and multiple vegetable brands get recalled every year, so in that regard, we are really not doing much better than the meat munchers. Now I need to come down on this false narrative that being vegan is completely harmless because it means you are not doing anything to harm animals. Vegetable farming is just as much at fault for overfarming as meat and dairy farms. In an article published by Civil Eats, a farmer by the name of Cannon Michael, you had cool parents, my guy, aired his grievances over the fact that he had to leave 100 acres of ripe, beautiful, ready to gobble up cantaloupes to fester and rot in the sun because he could not justify the cost of paying his workers to harvest, box, and ship the fruit. So in his mind, he had no choice but to leave it to spoil in the field. According to the same article, Michael's company, Bull's Farming Company, grows 300 to 400 acres of cantaloupes in Los Banos, California every season, in addition to hundreds of acres of watermelon, tomatoes, and cotton. If the pricing drops due to oversupply or other reasons, said Michael, there's a certain economic threshold that just doesn't justify harvesting the crop. That is a shocking amount of wasted food that could have been offered to struggling people who need it. These wasted fruits and vegetables are a major source of greenhouse gas, just like meat and dairy farms. I do not think that Mr. Michael is a bad man. I just think he is stuck in a bad cycle of, you guessed it, capitalism. Capitalism is the main enemy here. If it were not for capitalism, we would not have to worry about overproducing food, which means that farmers could cultivate less food, hire fewer workers at better rates of pay, and cut down on greenhouse gases by a long shot. The next point I would like to turn your attention to is that classic vegan argument that a vegan diet is automatically healthier than an omnivore diet because it is plant-based. A vegan diet can be just as harmful as any other diet. I have known plenty of people who ended up falling off their weight loss wagon while on a vegan diet. Potato chips are usually vegan, but if you eat an entire 11-ounce bag every week, it isn't going to be particularly healthy for you. Vegans can also make cakes and donuts that are vegan-friendly, but that doesn't mean you should be chowing down on them every single morning. Moderation is the key to any healthy lifestyle. Moderation and maintaining a well-balanced diet of carbs, fats, calories, and vitamins is always vital to a healthy life. My last talking point is one that angers me the most because it is a part of this lifestyle that has directly impacted my friends and me in a very negative way. Money. It is not cheap at all for a lot of people to live a vegan lifestyle. Maybe if you were a raw vegan, it would not be that bad, but for many that is simply not enough food or vitamin intake. Human beings are also vastly different from one another, and a raw vegan diet may simply not be enough to keep certain people full or satisfied. Not to mention that many people are allergic to a large variety of fruits and vegetables that would make a raw vegan diet less than ideal. I mentioned before that my health problems make it difficult for me to gain weight, and that at times I lose so much weight that it is considered a health threat. I have tried being raw vegan numerous times, and it always landed me in medical trouble because I could not keep enough weight on. This is a problem that many people face, not just myself. There is a vast variety of serious medical issues that would make this diet impossible. So the next step would be vegan with normal foods, just vegan friendly. Well, I took a look through the website for the nearest grocery store to my home that had a vast selection of vegan foods. I want to mention quickly that I cannot consume gluten and that many of my friends are in the same boat, so this makes things extra tricky. Upon conducting my research, I found that the cheapest bag of full dairy shredded cheese was $2.79. Not a bad deal. The cheapest vegan shredded cheese, however, was $5.29 for the same 8-ounce bag of cheese. After this, I decided to try something that is usually cheap and simple. Yogurt. A 6-ounce cup of full dairy yogurt was 3 for $1.19, or 42 cents for each cup based on weight. The 5.3-ounce cup of vegan yogurt was $1.79 for only 1 cup. Next, I tried milk. A 1-quart jug of full dairy milk costs $1.39. Amazing! What a great deal! The cheapest vegan milk was a 48 fluid ounce almond milk for $4.59. Not many households are without bread. A nice big 22-ounce loaf of regular bread was 89 cents. The only bread I found that was gluten-free and vegan, which are essential to my diet, was a 24.7 ounce, and it was $6.39. The ounces may seem like the gluten-free vegan bread was the better deal, but it is a much shorter loaf and only about half the size of the regular bread. It just happens to be heavier due to its density. Something else I struggle with is consuming rice. If I have too much rice, I start to feel very sick. Once again, I am not the only person with this problem. I usually eat small amounts of rice or I stick to quinoa. Quinoa is wonderful since it expands a lot when you cook it, but it costs $3.49 for 8 ounces, and that can really add up if you're feeding an entire family. I've talked your ears off long enough. I am sure there are people out there who will ignore everything I just said, call me a fake animal lover, and even accuse me of some nonsensical thing. That's all just dandy. But if I helped even one of you open your eyes, that is enough for me. If you are a vegan and you are honestly trying to make the world a better place by converting more people to veganism, make sure you're going about it the right way. You can't just harass and bully your way into someone's heart, and it is harmful to assume you know what someone else is going through. Not everyone is financially as lucky as you are, and for some it may be very difficult to afford a vegan lifestyle. Rather than insulting and accusing them, you should try leaving them a kindly word and note of hope and some links to affordable vegan groceries near them. If you want to convert someone for scientific reasons, like putting an end to greenhouse gases, then power to you, but be honest about it. Admit that overproduction of vegetables and fruits is just as dangerous for the environment as factory dairy and meat farming. And if you want to help someone become vegan for ethical reasons, stop trying to force them to watch documentaries on animal torture in the food industry. Many of those documentaries have been debunked over the years, and even though some of them are still legitimate and horrific, there are a lot of people that could be triggered by the subject matter, and their mental health could suffer as a result. After spending as much time as I have rescuing animals, I have never watched a single one of those PETA-type documentaries because animal harm triggers me to a point that I end up having panic attacks nonstop and going into a severe pain flare. If you end up tormenting someone, they aren't going to want to do something that makes you happy. You will just end up pushing them away. Lastly, veganism is wonderful in so many ways. It has made my health better when I balance what I eat, and I feel good knowing that I am not hurting the critters. But make sure that before you leave links here, there, and everywhere, you have researched them heavily and always go into every article with a healthy amount of skepticism. Not every vegan organization is in it for the right reasons. Organizations like PETA actually cause more harm than good most of the time. PETA itself has a 73% euthanization rate, and that makes me extremely uncomfortable. They have also compared animal slaughter to the Holocaust, which is basically comparing Jewish people to pigs. That's really gross. And only about 2% of donations actually go towards researching meat alternatives. I hope that this video benefited some of you. If you want to become vegan, you can take a look at Harmony Nice for some easy meal ideas for bad mental health days, Regan the Vegan if you want to laugh. Julien Solomita is also an amazing choice for vegans who are also gluten sensitive, and his food does not leave you feeling like you are missing anything. And everything Amanda Duck makes looks just fantastic. Anyway, be kind to one another and do something that makes you happy today, no matter what anyone else thinks about it, and I will see all of you again soon.